Welcome back. I'm Javed Khan Jadoon, and you're listening to the largest FM network in Pakistan, Suno FM network, and Radio Pakistan. And with us in studio are Dr. Salma Malik and Air Marshal retired Amir Masood. And the second topic we are going to discuss is President Xi's speech at the occasion of the military parade in Beijing after SCO summit in China. In that particular speech, President Xi made a very important announcement that now the entire liberal order is going to be challenged by the new world order, that is the global south coming forward and forging multilateral alliances as well, and going forward with a new vision where there is not just one superpower but the system or the entire new world order based on multipolarity. And what kind of implications it will have for the US domination in the world, what kind of implications or consequences it will have for the dollar, and what kind of implications it will have for the regional groupings like SCO and BRICS and beyond as well. Very important contents of that speech, and we are going to discuss the entire gamut of consequences. Marshal, as I pointed out, President Xi, for the first time, demonstrated the state-of-the-art weapon systems, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, Dongfeng 5 and Dongfeng 5C, and also the hypersonic anti-ship missiles as well, and for obvious reasons, and you know that. What kind of a paradigm shift do you see in the world which is dominated by unipolarity, which is dominated by the USA, which is influenced by the USA? Do you see a new bloc emerging in the wake of SCO summit where Global South would be asserting itself in the new world order?
I personally see that that China has always, along with Russia, has always wanted a multipolar world.
Okay.
And while the America has always strived for a multipolar Asia and a unipolar world. So that is the change in paradigm which we see in this SCO summit. It all can also go back to the formation of BRICS. If you see, the countries which were there, mainly it's India, Russia, and China, which started to challenge the hegemony of United States and the unipolarity and the decision making at the World Forum, both for security and economic policies. So that is the shift which we see in the speech of President Xi as well, that he has challenged that unipolarity and always, been an advocate of multilateralism, and that is where they are now going towards. But what I see a change in the tone and temper is that initially the China has always strived for economic strength, and that is what it has been in its policy
through
that
BRI and
they always
projects
believe in win-win situation, whereas the Americans policy had been mainly based on the zero-sum game. Either you are with us or against us. Whereas China has always believed that the countries should progress. They should be a pathway for economic stability in most of the countries, including Africa, Asia, which are the deprived countries, and they should be standing against the global north. But the second thing which is very important is, as you have mentioned, is the military might. There's a shift. There's a shift that China now sees itself as a very strong economic giant, but it has started to challenge the military might of United States as well. And that was also visible in the India and Pakistan war, that how the Chinese technology was able to shoot down the Western technology. And that gives a sort of impetus to their industry also. But the type of the missiles and the ammunitions and the robotics and military equipment which was at display, including the artificial intelligence and the quantum computer, all these things were there on display in the military parade of China. One of the finest I had ever seen. And it was a reflection that China is now towards the military strength also investing a lot in that. Not only that China today is that of the early 80s and 90s where it was trying to, copy the Western equipment. It now has a very strong research and development, and it has got certain technologies which still West have not been able to harness. So that's a reflection. That's the China.
The fighter planes like J-20, J-35, and
yes.
These with stealth capabilities,
Exactly.
entirely homegrown and home developed.
All those technologies, all those futuristic concepts, I would say, which West is trying to harness, they were actually displayed by the China, including the 6th generation aircraft, the loyal wingman concept, the drones, the robotics,
the AWACS,
the subsurface, robots and the subsurface drones, which were there
very
in
impressive.
the form of submarines. I mean, that's unprecedented. That is still in R&D in United States and in the global north. But you can see its true manifestation with the Chinese industry, and that hasn't come,
And the hypersonic anti-ship missiles are primarily, aimed at the American naval fleets.
Missile technology is, I would say, much ahead of China, much ahead of United States. The military technology, which you can see in the form of the missiles and the hypersonic missiles and the autonomous vehicles, is, I personally think, and of course the artificial intelligence-based, model of their war fighting, is a step ahead of United States, and of course ahead of the Western countries, mostly the European countries.
So it was a message to the West in general, and the US in particular. See, look, we are now a military power as well. As you rightly pointed out, that the Chinese always projected their economic power, economic might. For the first time, they say that the second prong of projecting a country's power, which is the military power, is definitely there.
It's definitely a message to the America. And it was also a confidence-building message to those 20 countries which participated in the SCO.
Right.
That you have another country to look towards in case there are economic sanctions, in case there are military sanctions. And that, luckily Pakistan had been forecasting since, late 60s. If you remember, after 65 war, Pakistan had the sanctions, US sanctions, and we had only the American equipment in the form of F-86s and F-104s.
True that.
Then we migrated towards the Chinese F-6s and MiGs, and subsequently, that process continued. Second period came once after the Afghan war, once we were having total reliance on the F-16s. We then had a severe sanctions, and then we started to develop our GF-17 program. And today we have a mix of both. So our indigenization efforts had always been when we have been sanctioned by the West. And today China presents a very good alternate.
Absolutely.
Very, I would say that's the best alternate, because with that comes systems, not only the weapons itself, but also the complete system, which they have been able to develop, they have been able to build, they have been able to plan. And I personally think that they are more secure.
Nobody can accuse them of doing the reverse engineering. It's entirely a homegrown technology.
It's a homegrown technology and a step ahead of
ahead of that, absolutely. Dr. Salma, if you see the optics coming out of the Beijing parade, President Xi on President Putin on President Xi's one side, and the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on the other side. And then you see that Iran is also in that particular block, getting very closer to China and Russia and North Korea as well. But, there's only one country which has always proved to be a Trojan horse, that is India. Whichever organization or regional grouping they joined, they always tried to destroy that organization. We know that what they have been doing with SCO. Now, the new world order we are talking about, which President Xi described as the more equitable and multipolar system, how does India fit into that, given the fact that they're still trying to establish the back channels with Washington, and they are trying to get back to the American circle as well? So whatever the new equitable and multipolar system Xi is talking about, India is not going to be part of it.
Ji, thank you so much, Ji. Absolutely. And I think China is very much aware of that. Especially the US and the West underestimates China's acumen, the depth of China's strategic thinking and how they operate. And that is something that really irks the West, that despite all the provocations at Taiwan and South China Sea, all the negative press that we give to China, it keeps on progressing without stopping at all. And that is a vision that China had developed as early as the 60s and the 70s, when the Cold War was at its peak, and China had designed this model that we are going to go ahead, we are going to offer cooperation to all, respects to sovereignty, the Panchshila principle that China has adhered to, which it also offered to India. And for some of our younger listeners, they might not be aware that there has been in the 1950s a small period of détente or a hand of friendship between China and India, which the Indians spoiled. And the Indians are going to spoil it again this time. At this moment, it's a very low point between the US and India's relationship. The US was always aware of India messing up with things. Even when the strategic partnership was being envisioned, there was a very strong South Asia watchers and readers lobby in the US, which knew that at some point India is going to become the spoiler in this bilateral relationship. And they would keep on saying that this particular Indian nod, where it is a yes and a no at the same time, would keep us in this ambiguity, and they'll really, really mess up with our plans. And also the fact that many people thought that India is being considered, and it has overreached its size. And the US thinks too much of India. India isn't capable of doing so much as it is offering on the table. And all of that has unraveled exceptionally well when it comes to this May 2025 conflict. Interestingly, a conflict between India and Pakistan, it has brought to fore multiple layers where, as Marshal Amir Saab was also pointing out, the superiority of Chinese weaponry, the fact that now China, courtesy Pakistan's ability, the joint ventures that we had with China, has come out as a country which is not only to be looked upon as a soft power, but is a country which has an absolutely stellar military hardware as well. Because prior to this, whenever people would talk about China, they would say, okay, they have developed AI, they have developed cyber tech, but they lack in military hardware. And May 2025 conflict between India and Pakistan disapprove that aspect as well.
No country ever took seriously the Chinese weaponry.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So this was a complete surprise. Now, where does that leave India? The US is seriously contemplating about India's ability as a net security provider and its proxy or the policeman in the region. And that is why we also see US sort of backdoor warming up again with Pakistan when it comes to counterterrorism, etc. The second aspect is that for Indians, and of course the Indians are being so egoistic that they are leaving no stone unturned to antagonize the US by the seconds. And this is absolutely wonderful, sitting back and watching how they are doing everything to destroy themselves. They have also toyed with China. China wanted to have a successful SCO summit. They brought India on the table because China has a very inclusive approach, and this was the strength of China's diplomacy, that not only did India participate, and they did not create any noise, any ripples with that. The domestic press aside, which has been fed with really silly stories, India was nowhere to be seen in SCO. Would India spoil the SCO spirit? China has a very strong acumen. China will not let any country,
to spoil,
big or small, to spoil its own home-based initiative. And they know how to school belligerent children. So India will have a very tough
Finally,
situation.
we'll have to talk about today
so
the nation is observing the death anniversary of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Quaid-e-Azam, who gave us this country, known as Pakistan, the only country we have today. Despite all the challenges, this is the country we love, and this is the country we live in, and our generations after generations after generations would be living. Air Marshal Amir Masood, a few words about today's occasion.
Today's day,
Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's death anniversary.
we owe a lot to a single person, as it was said by the Churchill for the Royal Air Force, that never in the history of mankind had so many owed so much to so few. So I think the whole 250 million people owe a lot to Quaid-e-Azam for whatever we see today, what are happening in India.
True that.
And my message for the countrymen, for the youth especially, is that maybe our generation has not been able to change and bring the vision of Quaid-e-Azam, but it is incumbent upon them that study what actually Quaid meant by having Pakistan for us. You know, he has been given vision. He has been giving vision for almost all the departments. He gave vision for Pakistan Air Force, that a country without a strong Air Force at the mercy of any aggressor. The Pakistan must build up its Air Force as quickly as possible, and it should be second to none. I mean, that vision was given in 1947, 48. And remember that was given after the Second World War, where he was very clear that a country without winning the air battle cannot win a war and will be mercy of any aggressor, which we see that the Middle Eastern countries today, as we have talked earlier also, are at the mercy of any aggressor. But Pakistan in May 25 has proved that a strong Air Force will be able to deter any aggression by any of the Air Force, inshallah, in future as well. So I think we have to study Quaid-e-Azam more, we have to live up to his message, and
his
we
vision.
have to make a promise to this nation and to our Quaid that we will never let this country be undone by any power on earth.
Absolutely.
And it
Undoubtedly.
will never happen, inshallah. Thank you.
Dr. Salma.
I think we haven't done justice to Jinnah Saab's vision, Jinnah Saab's dream of a secular, progressive Pakistan. Not only I think he meant the Air Force to be second to none, he meant his entire country to be second to none. And he has given this charter to each and every institution in the limited life that he had as Pakistan's leader. And Jadoon Saab, you have lived in India. I would want you to second me on this point, that if you want to see why, because this is very fashionable to question, why Jinnah destroyed the Hindu-Muslim unity, who was the ambassador of the Hindu-Muslim unity, and this is what the detractors always say, that he was the destroyer of Hindu-Muslim unity. He was not. His 11th August speech talks about the secular content of Pakistan, talks about the tolerance for which Pakistan was being made. All you need to do is to go to 2 urban ghettos of abject poverty in New Delhi, no other place, Nizamuddin,
the capital of the nation,
Jamia Masjid, and the plight in which the Muslims live
is a testimony what the visionary Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Jinnah perceived.
And why Jinnah made Pakistan.
Absolutely. You have raised a very, very important aspect of
each time I would return from India, I would offer nafal to thank Jinnah Saab, and then thank Jinnah Saab and those nafal that we are living in a progressive, independent country, and not in that type of life where you can't even breathe.
All the doubters, if they ever get the opportunity to visit India, they should, and they see the plight of the Muslims, and then they will realize that how the father of the nation, the visionary, perceived in 1940s, rather in the 40s or maybe in the 30s, that we need to have a separate homeland for the Muslims of the subcontinent. And I think everything Hindutva has vindicated that he was right.
So true.
Thank you so much, Marshal Amir Masood and Dr. Salma. With this, I'm saying Allah Hafiz.